If you are honest, I mean radically honest with yourself, are your needs being met? Needs to me are just the basics. They're like the bones, they're like the foundation of our house. But what about your desires? When was the last time you felt fulfilled, had amazing sex that you thought about for days? What about when you felt like you could relax, like everything would be taken care of? You didn't have to manage anything. My over functioning people pleasers, I want you to listen to the end of this one. We're going to drag a lot of stuff up, this Jonah Hill stuff, maybe my period being 3 days late, and some recent client things have me very hot, but I'm going to tell you what to do about it. So stay tuned. I'm Dr. Jordan Wiggins, and this is the Pleasure Principles podcast. Join me on this journey where sex, science, and sensuality meet. Let's change the conversation around sex and pleasure together. I see this every day. Superwomen forget what is possible in their relationships for themselves intimately. They dream so big when it comes to career or for their families, but it's like they turn off their desires, their intuition, their dreams when it comes to sex, love, and intimacy. And I know this because I used to ask women in my practice. So this is over 2,000 women in my medical clinic. What do you desire? And two things would happen. They would go blank. They'd stare at me like they wouldn't be able to answer. They'd tell me desires for their family or their kids or career, but there were no personal desires. And the other thing is that they would cry. They would have a complete breakdown because they knew how lost they actually were. Several reasons for this. The main one is that we have had no modeling from previous generations. It's not that you don't have desires, but that you don't know what you are allowed to need, to want. You haven't been given permission to desire, especially intimate desires. Were we taught to explore our sexuality? What turns me on? How I like to be touched? How I like to be spoken to? How I like to have sex initiated? Like, we actually have no clue. When we are overfunctioning people pleasers, the desire part of our brain doesn't work. We are in survival mode, crossing items off our to-do list. When we go to think about what we desire, what would bring us pleasure, our brain short circuits. We're taught compromise. I believe that compromise is bullshit. It is like dying a slow death. It is drying pussies out globally. That is why 1 in 2 women will have sexual dysfunction in their lifetime. It is why the divorce rate is so high. It is why single, childless women are the happiest, according to research. They're the happiest people on the planet. So, what is that saying? I think that's saying we were sold a bill of goods, get the degrees, have the house, have your 2.5 kids, and it will all be good, they said. What is it? Single childless women, happiest by far in research. So definitely gives me pause to think. And it's not that I would forsake my daughter for a second, but there's reasons why this is so hard and there are things that we can do about it. I want you to pay attention here because this is sneaky and it's why it is so hard to find the right help when you are a superwoman. You are successful. Things look good on the outside. You're not in bed curled up in a ball on the floor. Or if you are, it's for a little bit and then you're back at it. So you question why you can't just be happy. You question why it looks so easy for other people if you are asking for too much. There are 3 issues that I see with superwomen relationships that you will not see other coaches or therapists talking about. We're cut off from our desires. We are in our heads, not our bodies. Our beliefs set us up to fail. Let's dive into these. So first, we are cut off from our desires. We have desire at work or in other areas of our lives. And really, are they desires? Because when I start working with women, they're usually like goals for the next quarter, the promotion, the house we want to build, the trip we want to take. Where we struggle is at the big desires, the ones that are scary to say out loud, the ones that we don't know, like just by even wanting it, we don't know if we'll get it or how it will happen. So it's scary. So we suck at big desires when it comes to intimate needs. And we cannot have intimacy with others if we don't have intimacy with ourselves, with what we want, with what will make us happy. And this is when we end up with two people in relationship that are like, great teammates, but they're not lovers anymore. Or maybe it's a toxic relationship, which we will get into as well. But people are not fulfilled. And so an example would be, we want to ask for help with meals or kids' bedtimes, or we don't want to have to tell you about the garbage every single week. But instead of asking for the big thing, instead of saying, can you take over meals, the planning, the grocery shopping, the prepping, the cooking, and the cleaning of it, we will say, oh, can you make meals one night a week? So that's what I mean about kind of like stifling our desire and our true need. So when it comes to sex, we might not even know what we desire. I hear so often that people just default to what their partner wants and likes. And the women that work with me, they can accurately name their desires, even if it's having a coffee in the morning in silence. And if your whole day is going to hell, you can at least find space to figure out, what do I need? What is going to make this moment better? The second issue in Superwoman relationships is that we are in our heads, not our bodies. We are really not the greatest at feeling. We are good at thinking our feelings or ignoring them altogether. Maybe, what's your favorite numbing behavior? Overworking, taking trips, shopping, food, alcohol, maybe self help. But we spend a lot of time in our heads thinking, planning, thinking 10 steps ahead for everybody. And this makes sex and intimacy suck. We lack desire, or if we're having sex, it's not amazing sex. And we're going to get into why. Also, being prone to being in our head and not in our bodies makes us prone to toxic and emotionally abusive relationships. So, more on this in a minute. And the third issue that I see in Superwoman relationships is our beliefs. We have this lone wolf belief. Our Superwoman cape is on. I can do it by myself. I don't need anyone. And you know what? You've achieved a lot in your life, and you don't have a lot of pleasure to show for it. So basically, being a lone wolf has only gotten you so far. Women that are badass entrepreneurs, they are educated, they run companies and departments, still buy into the fairy tale that we have been fed. So be honest, you love a good Hallmark movie, rom-com to soothe your nervous system. I do too. So when we shrink our desires, when we're denying them, when we're settling for crumbs, it makes us shut down, or it makes us insatiable, where we're like overly needy, where nothing feels good enough and we don't feel seen, heard, worthy. And this is our good girl conditioning. We deny our needs. We pretend that we don't have any. We do everything for everyone else in service of everyone else. And then when it's like, hey, wait a minute, like, no one's feeding me. No one's watering me on this wilted plant in the corner. So if I come and get a couple drops of water, it is nowhere near enough. Also, this dynamic, the fairy tale dynamic, the Disney dynamic, it keeps us stuck in toxic relationships because our lizard brain is running the show. I'm going to give you an example of a client, and this is zero judgment because we all do it. I guarantee that you would not be listening to this podcast if you weren't an overfunctioning, people pleasing, well intentioned superwoman. So even in fact, I hired my ex-husband in my company, hired him for several roles, none of which he was good at, but to basically help support him, support us, and to feel justified in giving extra money. And it's a gross dynamic. And we're going to talk about it. I have a quiz, not a quiz, like a questionnaire to ask you about your relationship. So the result of these three things is that superwomen find themselves in toxic relationships, feeling like I have no needs, no wants, no desires, like I can do things by myself. when really we are settling for crumbs. We are caught in the pursue, fix, or avoid. And what are you and what's your partner? Or if you are single, what's the usual dynamic? Like, are you usually the pursuer fixer or the avoider? Are you in your victim or superwoman, which is the like, I need so much. Somebody water me, feed me. I can't survive on these crumbs anymore. And then we flip to the like, fuck it. I'm putting my cape back on. I'll do this all by myself. I don't need anyone. There is no middle. There is no partnership. It's the black or white thinking. This is a trauma response of wanting to matter, of having our needs be acknowledged and met. And this is shocking to our nervous systems. We're denying parts of ourselves. We're denying the part of ourselves that makes us most alive, that makes us most feminine. So, how do we expect to fully show up and be loved fully when we are not fully expressed in ourselves and our intimacy and our sexuality and our desires? We are groomed for this culturally by Disney, by the media. It is a setup and it is affecting your health and your intimate relationships. And it gets worse because if we are a superwoman, we blame ourselves like something is wrong with us, that we aren't happy and that something is lacking in our romantic relationships. So then we end up trying harder. We end up reading all the things, listening to the podcast, taking the courses, getting stuck in these self-help loops that never actually fixes the problem. So I have some questions for you. As superwomen, we like to focus on the good. We like to deny our desires. So I made a questionnaire. So hopefully you are not going to hide and you will answer honestly. In a superwoman relationship, I see there is an overfunctioner, which is you, the superwoman, and generally an underfunctioner. These are questions for you, which is also the AKA. Are you dating a man-child? Person with a personality disorder would work for this too. So if your answer is like, well, maybe sometimes at this point in the year, or if the stars or whatever, as I said, superwoman, we like to deny our reality. So practice radical self-honesty when answering these questions. So if it's like maybe sometimes, then it is a yes. So questions: overfunctioner, underfunctioner, superwoman dynamic. Are you the main source of stability financially? Are you the main source of stability emotionally? So without you managing the invisible workload in the relationship, the family would fall apart. Are you the regulator, walking on eggshells around mental health issues that they refuse to address? Do you have ignorance? Like, is there ignorance around abusive and hurtful behavior? And even after telling them it hurts, it continues. The relationship centers around their capacity and their needs. So oftentimes my clients make the money. I've had clients that their husband bought a new truck with the money that my client earns because he's retired. And another client that her husband bought a new dirt bike, and they were both questioning finding the money to work with me for themselves. And then I remember watching it click for both of them, and they were just like, wait, my husband can just buy this for him because he wants it. And I need this for me. I desire this for me. So, an example of the relationship centering around capacity and needs. This is my client. Her husband is a teacher. He is off for the summer. She has had some physical health issues. There are some things in her business that need to be addressed because it is expanding. Issues with one of their children. So, a lot going on. Her plate is very full, as I'm sure you can all understand. And she asked her husband to do meals and the laundry for the summer to be able to take that off her plate. And he is doing his work, which is amazing, but basically it came down to he said he didn't have the capacity. His therapist said he didn't have the capacity to do his healing work as well as add those things to his plate, even though he is off work. And I am pausing because it is maddening and infuriating. And I asked her, but how do you have the capacity? Like, you don't. Your body is screaming at you. Your business is screaming at you. Like, the kids, and And it generally falls on us. The relationship centers around their capacity, and should I say their limitations and their needs, and it is us to pick up the slack. Your partner is intermittently there for you, but they're like always at the edge of their tolerance. And you're always wondering, ooh, if I put one more thing on their plate, like how are they going to react? If you ask for your needs to be met, they do it and then it gets back on your plate, or they do it and ghost, or they do it and gaslight or stonewall. They cannot give you more and you end up picking up the slack. So finances, house management, errands, life tasks, even if you have a house manager and an assistant, you're still managing these people. So doing basic life tasks have to be gone over on repeat, or you have just completely taken it on all yourself. So you have the same issues on repeat. Like the garbage needs to be taken out every damn Monday. The laundry service comes every single Tuesday. Text when you're going to be late. So mothers of boys, we need to break this lack of accountability cycle in our men when they are little. Teach them more. Look at how you raise your daughters and how you raise your boys. And I'm sure there is still some gross gendered stuff that needs to be addressed because this runs deep. We aren't above it, myself included. The dynamic setup in your relationship is that you are the mother or the CEO of the relationship, and they have ended up resenting you for it. Your emotional needs are not being met in a deep and meaningful way. You are exhausted and overwhelmed because, let's face it, the invisible workload to stabilize, manage, soothe, direct, self-sacrifice is fucking exhausting, and your health is suffering. You can't lose weight. You're frequently getting sick. You're waking up drenched in sweat in the middle of the nights. You are suffocated with panic or depression. But functional panic or depression, like you're still managing all the things, even though you're dying on the inside. Maybe you have a mystery illness like my puking illness. And Jonah Hill got me thinking about all of these things with his text messages that his ex put online. And I'm glad she put him on blast because we need to be putting these man children, possibly personality disordered people on blast more. Because when other women can see this behavior, they can start to identify it and think, oh, this isn't love. This isn't boundaries. And for those of you that missed it, his ex-girlfriend was a surfer and had several pictures on her Instagram of her surfing and in bikinis. And he basically sent her a text message that said, like, you won't have friendships with men. You won't model. You won't pose in bikinis. You'll take these pictures down. And he knew who she was. Like he was liking these photos of her on Instagram before they got together. And then they got together and he tried to control her and weaponize it as his boundaries. But if you have taken my boundaries masterclass, you know that boundaries are about you. They're about what you will do if somebody takes a certain action. They're never about controlling or imposing things on others. So those overfunctioner, underfunctioner questions. If you answered yes to 3 or more of these, your relationship is toxic. Breathe. Breathe into your pussy. Ground yourself. 2 well-intentioned people can be in a toxic relationship, but it is still toxic. You can love each other very, very much. You can love each other and work through this to the other side, but it is still fucking toxic. If your needs and desires are not being met, the relationship is toxic. Your body, your adrenals, your hormones know it. And truthfully, so does your heart and your pussy if you are willing to actually admit it out loud, which is so hard for us because we have so many good things, so many things to be grateful for. And I've seen this more times than I can count on. Super women in relationship with people with personality disorders, people with addictive tendencies, people that have not done their mental health work, man children like Jonah Hill. And I'll do a whole other episode of why super women are prone to being in relationships like this. Like we're literally groomed for it. And because we don't look like a typical abuse victim, because we look strong on the outside, we have our cape on, no one knows how hard it is on the inside. In fact, you've probably even tried couples therapy, and the couples therapist couldn't even figure it out. God knows I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development and therapy, and a lot of it wasn't helpful for my needs as a superwoman, which is basically blame myself and try harder, which perpetuates this overfunctioner, underfunctioner dynamic. And it is a problem. And like my client's husband's therapist said, he can't handle this right now. And I actually wanted to smash something because that is the fucking problem. That us as the superwomen are left holding the bag. We are left picking up the slack. And I've seen this more times than I can count. And a part of this is on us. If we are in survival mode, our pleasure centers are turned off. We are not in touch with our desires. We are not in touch with our intuition. We are not in our power. And it is a problem because we are always coming from fear and survival. And that is our work to do. And that is what we can control. And more times than not, I would say 75% of the time, when we work on these things, when we learn how to work on these things for ourselves, when I work women through the process of this, 75% of the time, things heal, the relationship evolves, we break out of that toxic cycle that you are in. And yeah, sometimes your partner is not willing to shift or grow or change, and it is time to leave. But when you have done the work, you naturally grow apart, and it is an easy, friendly parting of ways. When you're trying to leave a toxic relationship, that shit is a fucking mess. So if you are ready, if you are like, holy shit, I can't breathe right now, sign up to work with me one-on-one. I have a process for fixing this. Getting the pleasure centers in your brain back turned back on, getting back in your power. And a summary of what that involves, a summary of what it looks like is deep, deep desire work, self-intimacy, validating your own wants and needs, somatic and physical health improvements. We cannot do this. We cannot change when we are sick, when our nervous system is dysregulated, when our stress response, our adrenals, our hormones, everything is all fucked up. We need to heal our bodies to be able to tolerate and receive pleasure in a bigger way. If you have a hope of having what you desire, we need to ask for our needs to be met. We need to be able to communicate them and know how to receive them. So we are going to put the one-on-one coaching link if this is you and you need help. Right now, I have 2 spots open for my summer applications. And when they are gone, I will not be opening again until the late fall. So if you want to learn how to become a woman who knows how to get out of her head, be present, be tuned into her desires, and be able to communicate them in a way that enrolls people to help you out, it doesn't repel them. You're not coming from your wilted, watery plant place anymore. How to be able to find your turn on no matter what is on your plate. I want you to go to www.thepleasurecollective.com. We will put that link in the show notes as well. This is for action takers. This is for women that want to show the fuck up, look at themselves honestly, and learn how to feel fully present and learn how to feel tuned into your desires. Learn how to be open to receiving more pleasure. So sign up now. Don't say you'll do it later. Do it now. You will forget. You are going to walk away with action steps to start shifting this dynamic. I wish I could hug each and every one of you and we could all just have coffee or wine or tea or whatever your thing is together. And I'm going to get emotional, but it bothers me how much you're struggling, how much you've tried to do, and that you haven't had the correct help. So if that is you, sign up, fill out my one-on-one coaching application. If you like what you heard in this episode, leave me a rating. Your support helps me get discovered by more women like you. Together, we can change the conversation around women's sexual health and pleasure for you, your partners, and generations to come.